good morning, everybody. How are you? Good. Thank you, Keith, for that introduction. You delivered it just as I wrote it. I appreciate that. And I want to just comment quickly about Deputy Mayor Steve's remarks. Ottawa gets it. You really are a leader amongst municipalities, and your talk about a shared sense of purpose ought to inspire us to an even fuller commitment around partnership. Partnership's really about achieving together what you're less likely to achieve apart, and you sir do that very, very well. So please give my regards to your mayor. I was his parliamentary assistant at one point, and it's good to see he's continuing to do his good work here, and thank you and your council for your commitment to social housing. Now, I want to just start by saying something about how I ended up being here. When I was appointed in July to be the new Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and by the way, we've had 9 ministers in the last 10 years. Why do I tell you that? Maybe if you want to get something done, we should do it pretty quick. Right? In any event, one of the first phone calls I got, I was in my office and someone said, Minister Keith Hambly's on the phone and he says it's urgent. I said, who the heck's Keith Hambly? I didn't, I'm just joking. So I took the phone and Keith was there, and he said a little bit about his work, and then he said, Minister, I got a question to ask you. Do you believe in free speech? Strange question. I said, well, I'm a good liberal. Sure, I believe in free speech. He said, well, how'd you like to come to Ottawa and give one? I said I'd love to do that, and I hope when I'm done you don't all think I was well worth the money. I want to thank all the members of the Ontario Nonprofit Housing Association for your friendly welcome this morning. It looks like a fascinating agenda. I went through it last night and again in the plane on the way up. And you've lined up some really interesting sessions. Have you had a chance to really look through it? You probably have, planning your sessions. And I'm not sure if it's an accident that the session on discovering your communication style comes right after approaches to roaches. Seems to me the way you approach a roach might say a lot about your communication style. Maybe you could combine these two. Listen, all kidding aside, I'm not here to give you advice. In fact, on the contrary, we have relied on extensively on your expertise as we develop strategies to address the need for affordable housing in our wonderful province. The research and reports you deliver, including the annual waiting list survey, are vital to our efforts to improve housing in Ontario. And I've had the opportunity, well, in Ottawa, Mr. Deputy Mayor, to visit a number of housing operations here as part of my Building Bridges tour. I'm on a tour of the province. I've been to 47 municipalities, meeting with councils, and about half that many housing providers. In September, right here in Ottawa, we spent a whole day here. I had the pleasure to visit the Beaver Barracks, developed by Centretown Citizens Ottawa Corporation, an Ontario Nonprofit Housing Association member. And I understand there's a tour that your members can take of the Beaver Barracks. Recommended highly. It's quite an experience. Now, Centretown is a great example of what our sector can achieve. And it helps me appreciate the work you do on behalf of Ontarians every single day. A favorite poet of mine once said, I want to make sure I get this right, anyone can slay a dragon. but it's the people who get up every single day and try to love the world all over again. They're the real heroes. You're my real heroes. Thank you for the work you do. Friends, before I entered politics, I wrote my master's thesis on how to do social housing in better ways. I don't think anybody read it. There are a lot of differences now than in the mid-70s. For starters, the federal government was an active partner. Back then, the average price of a home in Ottawa was, Mr. Deputy Mayor, $50,000. Today, the average cost is about $350,000. So as housing costs rise, available, affordable housing units are inclined to decline, unless you're very strategic about your approach. And wait lists for social housing in many communities continues to grow. Now, I don't need to tell you all that stuff. I mean, you know that. And you intuit it from your work every single day. So when someone has a safe, affordable place to live, it helps, as the Deputy Mayor pointed out this morning, with everything else. Their financial security, their health, their educational and job prospects, the labor force, you name it. So I want you to know that I'm eager to work with you so that every person in this province can find a suitable place to call home. And it isn't just about space. It's about connecting the appropriate support services to make sure people can remain housed. I was chatting the other day with a president of a hospital group, and he was saying, you have a couple, older senior couple, a man who's beginning to show some signs of dementia, and his wife who's going blind. Together they manage okay. But when something happens to one of them and they get split up, all hell breaks loose, right? So he went on to suggest some approaches that we can take to help out there, and I've already got our staff working on it, and with them and with the Minister of Health, who I arranged to have at the same meeting, so it worked out very, very well. When I was Minister of Community and Social Services, I appointed a housing task force to identify innovative housing solutions to help connect people with disabilities with the housing supports they need. And I'm pleased to say the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing is part of that task force. It's an interministerial group. They came back with a report entitled "Let's End the Wait," and I met with the good folk that I'd appointed to help with that, and one of them said to me, you know, Minister, we know your heart's in the right place, but you're not the Minister of Housing. Anyhow, we have a lot of work to do. So our work, along with the renewed investment in affordable housing program, indicates our willingness to address housing in Ontario. But I've got to admit, we've got to find some new ways to do it and some new resources to do it. And we've got to get the private sector involved, who often don't build the kind of units that need to be built because they can't make any money at it. So we've got to find a way to address that too. If we're really going to try to tackle this issue, we'll need real engagement and meaningful partnerships across the board, including, as I just said, with both the nonprofit and the private profit sector. So today, we'll be doing meeting with 4 delegations later. I want to hear about what's working and what isn't working, what we're doing that's good, what we're not doing that we should be doing, and what we're doing that we can do better, and also what we're doing that maybe we shouldn't be doing. There is an old saying, politeness is the poison of collaboration. We're friends. Friends can tell each other the truth, even if it may hurt from time to time. So we need to talk openly and honestly and transparently about the challenges we face and what we can do to significantly respond to those challenges. So I hope and I invite those that I'll be meeting with a bit later, the delegations, to remember that as we talk. You know, I'm not here just to put in 3 hours in my favorite Ontario city, Brian, next to Hamilton, of course. Brian McCaddy, who's a local councillor and a good friend, is here today. So share that. We want to hear from you. And I have a hunch that I can count on you, we can count on each other, to keep the pressure on Ottawa to get involved again as a real partner. Friends, together we've made progress on affordable and social housing issues all across Ontario. And of course, as I mentioned, we need to keep the pressure on all of the potential partners to get involved and to make a commitment to permanently fund social and affordable housing. Our government will continue to work with you to ensure nonprofit housing continues to succeed in Ontario. There's still a long way to go, so let's keep the momentum going and open doors to brighter futures for everyone in Ontario. So let me ask the pivotal question: can we continue to work together to make a real difference in people's lives? Yes, we can. Thanks very much.